to the Q&A. So the next question I got is about perfectionism. And the person that asked this question was saying, you know, when they start painting, they never want to stop, basically, until they find that it's perfect, which sort of never comes. They just want to keep painting, keep painting. For that, I would suggest, if you find yourself in that energy of, I can't stop this painting until it's perfect, I would definitely suggest getting some distance between you and the painting and going and doing something that fulfills you. Take a break, take a rest, do something that makes you feel more playful, that makes you feel more connected to your source, that makes you feel more lighthearted, that makes you feel like you aren't taking things too seriously. Whether that's watching comedy, whether that's playing with your child, whether that's going for a walk, going to the beach, playing some loud music. Because basically what you're gonna find is what you're bringing to the canvas is going to show up in your process. So if there's something inside of you, the canvas is gonna be a mirror for that. And that's sort of the magic of intuitive painting, is that you show up with sort of everything you have inside you. And you start painting and you're loosening up and it's fun and it's free and it's bold. And then you come into that second layer and you're adding depth. It gets a little more serious, right? And so that's when it's good to maybe go back to step one and get bold and free again, mess some stuff up, squirt some stuff off, and then come back and make some of those more intentional moves. And even at that point, if it starts to get a little serious, it feels like, oh, these are important decisions I'm having to make, or this isn't gonna come out right. We always have to remember that it's just paint. And, you know, it's not as serious as it feels. It feels like, you know, I have to get this right. I'm solving this problem. You know, there's a right answer here. And that's more of like a left brain way of thinking about it. Whereas the right brain way of thinking about it is more like, you know, we're just being creative, we're exploring. The answers will come. And like, even if a painting doesn't come to fruition, we're gonna learn something in the process. And so it's all valuable. And so I would suggest that any sort of way of thinking or way of being that is showing up when you're in your creative process is showing up because it's something that you need to learn about yourself, and that you maybe need to approach differently, and that you need to let go of, at least for the time of creating the painting. But what I find is that the lessons that I learn going through the creative process also translate to my life. So not only do the things that are in my life end up in my creative process, but it's also the other way around. Painting and the creative process teaches us things about life and about ourselves that we can then bring back to our life. I notice now when I'm in the middle of something, like, let's say I'm doing a huge makeover of a room and I've pulled everything out, and that part's fun. It's like, ooh, let's pull everything out. And then you get into the middle and you're like, am I getting rid of this? Am I getting rid of that? Oh, I wish I had never even begun this project, because now this is taking a lot more of me than I thought it would. And that's the time where I have to remember, oh yeah, this is just part of the creative process, right? Like, this is just one of those phases. And so it's about pushing past. And I'm going to insert a little graphic below here about the creative process, because I think it just speaks to it perfectly. But it's about pushing into the next phase and being like, okay, you know what? No, this is okay. We're going to take it step by step. I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to get rid of that. Let's just take it one thing at a time. You know, let's take a break. Let's watch a TV show. Let's call a friend. Let's put on some music. Let's have a snack. And then come back and get to it. So basically that's my advice, is that, you know, if you find yourself in that place of like, it has to be perfect, even think about, where did those voices come from? Why does it have to be perfect? Is that because maybe that's something that you learned when you were in school, or something, you know, some sort of authority figure said to you, or maybe you feel like the painting is a reflection of you and you need to be perfect. And so I would just really like try and let that go, and, you know, doing practices like putting on music, saying a prayer. Like if you're really in that creative space and you're letting the creativity from source flow through you, you're going to be in the zone, and you're almost going to be like out of that sort of ego thinking, and you're just going to be making moves based on instinct. And that's how we learn to really trust ourselves. And again, there's just no mistakes. That's why intuitive painting is so amazing. You can just paint over it. If you don't like it the next day, paint over it. It's so much more about the process and what it does for you and what it brings to your life than the end result of the painting, right? It's more about the experience and the lessons that you're learning. So I would say, do not be hard on yourself, especially when you're learning. This is like, you know, if it's new for you, it's going to take a while until you feel comfortable enough to trust that process and to trust yourself and to trust that it's all going to come together in the end the way that it's supposed to. Also, having a preconceived notion of what the painting should look like. A lot of my paintings, basically, I work them till completion, and they might not even be my favorite, but I know that they're done. And I'll talk about that too, like how do you know when it's done? But like I will know that it's done and that it came to be what it was supposed to be. It came through me, it flowed through me. I did my part, it came out, and it didn't look like how I thought. There's no way I could even imagine how my paintings will look beforehand. But also it might not even look how I was trying to make it look middle of the way through. But I know that it's done, and then it's time for me to let it go, which is also a beautiful lesson. So I hope that helps answer your question.